Hey guys, welcome. This is Christian here, and we're towards the end of day 5, and it really feels like really day 5 already. It's one of these things where it feels like we live in a bit of a time warp where, in some regards, it feels like we are living lifetimes, and in other moments, it feels like, where did this time just go? It just 5 days moved very, very quickly. I am definitely feeling my heart tender, and there's some exhaustion and tiredness. This is natural around this time. It's a big event to hold. I'm not alone in it, and yet there's a lot of demand on my nervous system as I'm facilitating and guiding different spaces. And as the week goes on, it's natural for the participants, for people to deepen and open, and therefore feel safer and safer and safer, and then more wants to be felt, met. The healing process, in other words, gets even wider, and the demand on my emotional, energetic nervous system becomes greater. It still remains a joy, especially the group of men that are here. It's just a real, real, real pleasure, and every space just feels quite nourishing. So my fatigue is not because something bad is happening. I'm feeling nourished on one hand, but also just I'm working hard. There's a lot going on. Last night, after I recorded the last video message, we actually went into circle session in the evening, and that's kind of rare. I don't normally do that for the men. And it was, again, a really beautiful, very joyful, almost like I feel like that part of me that loves to have guy friends that just tell jokes and just hangs out and isn't really, it's not about being serious or doing something with intention and purpose, but just having a blast, just being silly and just laughing a lot. So I have laughed so much this week. And that has been so good, feeling so joyful around that. And it was also a profoundly deep experience yesterday evening. And I just noticed the part of me that was really on fire. I was so fiery, and I think what happened is that I was activated by the circle we did yesterday afternoon with the men and women coming together. And there was a fire in the circle that hadn't been fully expressed. So I was still with that. I was carrying, I think, some of the unfinished residue of the fire. And so I was facilitating yesterday evening's men's circle with this unapologetic sword. And I started to wonder when I went to bed, like, oh God, was I too much? Was I a little bit too intense? Because this fire just came out with direct, unadulterated truths that I started to doubt, like, oh, is this appropriate to share? And yet this fire was coming through to the point where it actually activated the men into this primal sexual life force that we celebrated together. And that triggered a participant who wasn't comfortable with that energy, but then through meeting his closure or pain or vulnerability, he then dared to kind of like explore it, and then that opened the group deeper. It was just one of these cycles, right, where something alive in me is an imprint or entrains or kind of ignites the room moves, something in the room then triggers an individual who may not be able to meet that energy, and then we focus on supporting that person, and it just deepens and deepens and deepens. However, what happened then is I just got like burnt out. I was like, it was 9:30 in the evening, and I was just like, my boundary was up. I said, I gotta go to bed. And so I realized I ended the circle a bit too soon. It was a bit too abrupt. And looking back, I wished I would have just been a bit more gentler and a little bit more spacious in closing what was a stunning, stunning day. And so actually this morning, there needed to be a bit of repair and cleanup, just starting with an apology and ownership of that which I brought and how I ended. And that led to a man coming into the circle, and and sharing about what the impact of that was and how it touched a core wound. And out of that, something else just became so beautifully exposed, and he got a chance to be felt and met and supported in tapping his grief and the young part that felt very unaccepted in the world. And it's things like this that I love, the synchronicities that you just cannot make up. It's just profound. We also had a session today where I got an opportunity to train the guys on how to meet the women in their meeting points and primal play and how they're going to approach. And that was a lot of fun. So this is kind of the training work we do outside of circle. So there's no circle now, but there is still this opportunity to just joyfully bring these men into a deeper connection to their yeses, to their nos, to their fire, to how they witness, to how they move. I just love it. It's just really, really cool. And then this afternoon we went into the big circle again for the second time. The men and women came together for a big group of 67 of us. And I knew this time I needed to move and keep the pace going because there was a lot of longing, a lot of need, a lot of yearning for space. Yesterday was a lot more gentle because we were just starting, but I knew that given the fact that we only have a few sessions, needed to take the handbrake off, and boy did we go, and wow. And yet, I needed to say, listen, this isn't a normal circle where we're just going to spend time focused on your process and where one or two people are going to go really, really deep. We're going to have multiple requests and needs are going to be met, and you need to bring clarity. You need to bring your joyful longing and the thing that will delight you with tangible, clear instructions of how you want to use the mat. So moving with clarity, moving with the open systems, not processing. That was very clear at the front, and yet it was difficult for some of the guys because when they got stuck, it turned into a process, and then I had to set the boundary. Whether it was with men or with women, it was like, no, you're not going to take this space further. And that's hard on certain nervous systems, because if we're used to having the space and being guided and being given more time, for example, to kind of navigate these parts, but when we have an intentional use for the circle like this, sensitivities can arise, especially in an amplified field. It's kind of normal that people might start to feel like they take things a bit personally. But that's part of the practice too, is to kind of like not repress anything, but just become a little bit more solid and to self-regulate and to practice tracking and not taking things personally and not projecting our past into the present moment. And we had some incredible spaces. Just epic would probably be the right describer for it, especially the last space. I don't want to go into it because it's too much of a trigger warning, I think. But it was just it was high risk, high reward, beautiful, profound, deeply healing, life-changing, in fact, for many people who are part of it and witnessing it. To just give you a clue, it had the impact of uncrossing wires around sexuality, abuse, and the power of our sexual hunger and desire. So it was very, very cool. And but I was left at the end of that circle just a little bit like, whoa, I need to go to Ibiza or something and just hang out on the beach for a bit. It's a lot. So here I am, just speaking off the cuff about my day, and tomorrow is the final full day, so we're reaching the end already. I'm so curious as to how this plane lands. We took off hard, fast, deep. Wow, went into the stars. We've had an incredible cruise, and now it's time to land this plane. And so I'm really curious how we're going to do that. I'll keep you informed and let you know. Anyway,